Now let's get to these mother-f***ing drones, dude.
Millions of Americans have their eyes to the sky trying to unwrap a mystery. Ever since Thanksgiving, there have been thousands of reported drone sightings, mostly in the skies over New Jersey. Now those sightings have spread. Reports of flying objects have cropped up in half a dozen states in the Northeast, some even here in New York City.
I think this is amazing because I assume that, like, there's probably some, I don't know, military defense contractors like testing out drones or whatever. Like, I'm sure the inception point here is like some real American technology, probably. But it is hilarious how quickly peasant brain creates collective psychosis. And now you have so much momentum on the story from people who personally think that every plane in the sky is actually a drone. And not just any drone, but drones that are coming from an Iranian mothership. This is a fantastic example of this. Woman on Facebook proudly reports how her husband shone a laser at a drone, which was actually FedEx Flight 3926 at 4,000 feet. This is complete madness. My husband and I saw one in West Milford about 11:57 p.m. It was very low flying and audible. My husband shined his sniper laser at it, and we watched before our own eyes. It went completely dark, and the sound ended abruptly. I know the time because I texted my best friend immediately after. It was a FedEx plane. Last night we went out with local police to spot the drone flying over New Jersey. Here's what I saw. We drove to Round Valley Reservoir and the officer pointed lights moving low over the tree line. Sometimes they were solid white light, others flashed of red and green. Now, the red and green light means that it's a FAA sanctioned flight, isn't it? That's just a plane or Santa Claus. There are obviously actual drones though. Just because people falsely report planes is irrelevant. Oh, make no mistake. That's why I said I suspect that the inception of the story came from like probably some military technology. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it was a commercial drone or not, but I do think that I'm certain that there is some drones that people were like, "What the fuck is that?" And it became a story. And not only did it become a story, but then it turned into this massive story when people were like, "There's a lot of flying stuff ahead of us. There's so many goddamn flying shit. What the hell is going on?" Interesting question here is, how did this become a massive story? Because I think America is very stupid. And while they're like, this is one of those incidents where like, I think that there's a shit ton of drones because they're relatively cheap, chat. It's a very cheap thing to make, buy, purchase, a maneuver. It's relatively easy to operate. So like it could be a number of different things. It could be a number of different things. It could be commercial drones. It could be people f***ing around. It could be defense contractors testing out their new drones or whatever. But I think the broad reception of the story is partially because of our fascination with the unknown and partially because, you know, there's Americans love this shit. They love this kind of conspiracy theory. It's illegal to operate without a license. First of all, nobody gives a fuck about that. That's why I said it's cheap. It could be a prank. It could be someone with a lot of money and time on their hands. I think that there is also real fears that this is something more ominous. But I think that the thing that is more ominous would be most likely just the American military, like defense contractors testing out their new toys. They are the size of cars. It's alien people. Okay. Or maybe that. How much have you looked into this? I was under the impression that this was thousands of industrial side drones clearly visible as a drone. Everybody has seen them. Yeah. I don't understand it. Everybody says everybody's seen them. And yet all the footage that I have seen from independent sources are either like TIE fighters that they altered to make it seem like a fucking real TIE fighter was like flying in broad daylight, or planes and shit, planes and helicopters. While I love a good story like this, I love a good conspiracy, I have not seen any real like footage. I'm not seeing any real. Yeah, Larry Hogan saw stars and constellations and then said, "These are drones. The stars at the 39-second mark are recognizable by the constellation Orion. From this, you can determine that the bright lights behind the trees are stars Sirius and Procyon." I think something that people need to remind themselves is that, like, I often talk about people in positions of authority and how when someone is in a position of authority, we automatically assume that they know what the fuck they're talking about or they're brilliant. Okay, that's how meritocracy works usually. And I need people to remember that just because someone is in Congress speaking from a position of authority does not change the reality that they can be a fucking absolute moron. Very important to understand. That's precisely the reason why I showed you Andy Kim, and that's why I showed you Governor Larry Hogan. You can still be a fucking idiot. Just because you're a elected representative doesn't change that reality, okay? I want to remind everyone how right I was in terms of the Chinese weather balloon story. And I think it's important to remember that I was right on the Chinese weather balloon story because there were plenty of people who were yelling at me at the time saying this is inappropriate, that like we're being invaded by China. This is a deliberate attempt to destroy America. And at the time, the government literally used that to its advantage and very clearly leaned into that. This feels like you're gaslighting us, people from New Jersey. Some are planes, but most are drones. I wish people would send me actual video footage of the drones. A whole thread of red and green light planes they're saying aren't planes law. Whoever's behind this, they seem totally unconcerned about being photographed and filmed, which makes it highly unlikely that they're secret military defense industry tech. Yeah, that's a commercial airliner. That's not a drone. There are dozens of SUV-sized drones flying over New Jersey on a nightly basis. More video. Another one very much looks like a plane, but it isn't. Wait, what? Sent in by a resident of Bergen County. In the video, I thought it was a plane, but after seeing the picture, I'm not so sure. It doesn't look like any passenger plane to me. What? What are you talking about? This is literally a plane. This chat is perfect for the story because half of us have plane autism, and we can clearly tell if this is or isn't a plane. Yeah. Planes come in various shapes, sizes, colors. They have different kinds of wings. Like a lot of the footage that I've seen are literally just straight up planes. While many of these look like larger versions of conventional drones or fixed wing aircraft, some appear to be orbs. What? Nah. Like the other part of the story is that some of these are like also digitally altered footage that is done is sold in a way like a Ring camera footage to make you think that this is like a real aerial phenomena. I'm sorry, dude. This is ridiculous. Some more orb activity in New Jersey. Truck driver caught on video orb UAP UFO. This matches the videos I've seen and certainly helps explain the government's odd response. It's a Terrodynamics XP4 Transwig drone. Note the stubby nose, straight side wings, and long tail due to forking fins, visible in the first Twitter X video OP posted. It's being developed by the U.S. Navy as a recon and logistics drone capable of picking up and dropping off packages between land and moving ship, including in high seas and high winds. Joint Staff statement from less than an hour ago. A spokesman from the Joint Staff acknowledged that there had been sightings of drones over 2 military installations in New Jersey, but said such sightings are typical. In recent weeks, a number of drones have been sighted over New Jersey, prompting concern and thousands of telephone calls to report them. Some of those drones have even been sighted in the Picatinny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Station in Earl, both in New Jersey. During an on-background telephone call today, officials from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Homeland Security, Federal Aviation Administration, a spokesperson from Joint Staff acknowledged that there have been sightings of drones over 2 military installations in New Jersey, but said such sightings are typical. Either is the Department of Defense playing with new toys by way of defense contractors and they want to keep it under wraps. Maybe some part of it is that, or there are like people that have access to drones that are flying it over military bases for fun, you know, or for whichever reason. Or there is a third, more nefarious thing that's happening, which is that the American government is woefully incompetent and is completely incapable of dealing with, I don't know, drone surveillance technology in the form of drones that Iran or China or any number of foreign adversaries are engaging us with. Now, the reason why I don't think it's the third option, okay, and it's most likely a combination of 1 and 2, is because drones are very fucking loud, especially large drones. And the reality of the matter is, if you were to use drones to surveil American military bases, a foreign adversary, they're fairly easy to take down. There are even new weapons that people have developed exclusively to take down drones. Not only that, but also it would be pretty simple and pretty easy to figure out which country's drones people are using. So that's the reason why I don't think that this is yet another instance of like foreign adversaries spying on us openly. There are numerous ways of surveilling American military bases. There are numerous ways to do it by way of utilizing the pre-existing telecommunication platform that is partially endlessly interceptable. New York Times Daily just recently did a report on how the Chinese government actually intercepted it incredibly successfully. Like just to make sure that they knew which Chinese nationals that were spying in the United States of America were caught and which were free of American suspicion. Now, I believe that to be true. Another way that our foreign adversaries could spy on us outside of like directly infiltrating our telecommunications, another way of spying on Americans is through satellites. Here's a conspiracy story. Fed used drones and information to test methods of inducing mass hysteria in the U.S. I mean, maybe. I could see that. The American government has in the past used unexplainable aerial phenomena as a mechanism to freak out the public. That is a very real and open psyop that the CIA is engaged with in countries where they wanted to interfere in the normal political process in. So that is something that we've done.
Yes, some of the videos show aircraft that look like planes. And some of them definitely are regular planes. But experts who have seen the reported drone footage categorize it into two buckets: quadcopters and fixed-winged aircraft. At a New Jersey briefing on Wednesday, officials said the drones fly for 6 to 7 hours at night. They believe they're coming in from over the water.
These are apparently as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark.
How? How would they know? How would the drone operator in the middle of the night know that there are eyes on the drone? If they have IR cameras, they can see camera lenses. Do you know how complicated of an operation that would be? They have infrared cameras that sense camera lenses and shut off their lights. Okay, then why do they have the lights on to begin with? From all angles, dude? What do you think drones are? You think they're like how do you think drones are operated? Like, you think that it's just like an alien that's operating the fucking drone? Like, how do they have real-time understanding? Why do they have the lights on at first? Why do they turn their lights off? And how do they figure out that, like, eyes are on them? Let's say there are 1,000 cameras. The automatic assumption should be that they're always on you. That's why it doesn't make sense as to why they would even have their lights on to begin with. Because the moment that you actually come close enough to the fucking shoreline, there are 1,000 opportunities to be spotted. High technology, but apparently Deborah can take a photo on her iPhone 14. Yeah. Also, there are points where there would have eyes on them and they still kept their lights on, defeating the purpose of hiding behind being sneaky. Yeah, like this.
Social media to report drone sightings. For the past few nights, my Ring app has been full of alerts, though many do seem to be plane sightings. The White House on Thursday implied as much.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat. We have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
Still, mystery drone sightings have been seen across the country, including over Langley Air Force Base.
Yeah, good luck instilling any trust in the American public after destroying what semblance of trust that might have remained, like ruining your credibility on the Gaza stuff. So who the would ever believe that? I just, like, across the board, Americans just don't trust their government. You know, you got the Iraq War, you got 9/11, you got the JFK assassination. Time and time again, American media, in unison with the American State Department, has actively been like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't look over here, okay? Nothing weird. Shut the fuck up. And of course, there is a tremendous level of distrust in the American government and a tremendous level of distrust in the American media. Obviously, not a single person is going to hear that and go, you know what? I agree, actually. You're right. There's probably nothing to fear. At this point, they'd be better off being like, they're aliens. People are so inclined not to believe the American government that if the American government came out and were like, they're UFOs, they'd be like, oh, it's okay, never mind. I don't believe it. They've been negatively polarized against any sort of revelation from the American government or the military, really. That trust is gone. That bond is broken. The American government is basically chat poop-socking the streamer. The ancient bond of trust between streamer and chat has been desecrated, defiled, defecated on, time and time again. So no, after the 15th poop sock, the American government, the American population doesn't believe the American government any longer. The trust is gone. Like, even if there was one or two weird incidents that just don't pass the smell test, that could be attributed to a defense contractor testing out their new shiny toy or whatever. There are 10,000 mass hysteria, collective psychosis opportunities for the average American who has the mindset of a medieval peasant, who now will look to every single plane and go, that's a drone. And no, I don't think it's a news and event that the U.S. government is using this drone hysteria to divert attention from. I don't think so. I think that's another like brain broken way to approach it. Like, no, I think we give the American government far too much competence. I think the American military is very powerful, much more powerful than you would suspect. But I also don't think that their influence is so vast, their schemes so complicated that they're actually actively trying to get our attention away from the things that matter. It's like, no, dude, most Americans don't know about anything and don't give a fuck about anything. You don't really need to jiggle keys in front of them to get them to change their perception. Yeah, they were very excited about the revolutionary sentiment and class consciousness that was being instilled upon the proletariat. We're on the verge of rising up, ladies and gentlemen, until the American government came in and started putting drones everywhere in New Jersey. And all of a sudden, the Marxist-Leninist vanguard of New Jersey fell apart because now they're hyper-focused on these drones. It's not just New Jersey. It'll be all over now. While all of the self-reporting is coming from New Jersey, as you noticed in the beginning of the other news story, now they're seeing them in Connecticut and New York and elsewhere in Pennsylvania. And the reason for why they're seeing that everywhere is because, yeah, there's a whole bunch of flying shit everywhere all the time. It's isn't it the Jeep phenomenon? What is it called? Or the buggy phenomenon? Where you like, once you purchase a Jeep, you start recognizing so many more Jeeps. We have pattern recognition. And once we are hyper focused on something, once it's on our minds, we start recognizing it a lot more. That's just what it is to a certain degree. We're just like, oh, there's inexplicable aerial phenomena all around us. Bader-Meinhof frequency bias. Right now, the FBI, DHS, FAA, and DOD have been unable to determine who is responsible for flying the drones, and there's no indication that there are adversary nations involved. To date, we have no intelligence or observations that would indicate that they were aligned with a foreign actor. I feel like if they were aligned, even if they're not malicious, they still will fucking openly state it. So it's gotta be not aligned. You know what I mean? Like, remember the Chinese weather balloon that drifted off into U.S. airspace? And everyone was like, oh, it's a Chinese weather balloon, dog. They're coming after us. They're trying to spy on our military bases. It's like, even though it wasn't as significant nor as severe as the way that the American government presented it, it still didn't matter. Like, people were whipped into a frenzy. And the American government absolutely used red baiting to fucking get people riled up. The spokesperson said that the military has limited authorities when it comes to conducting investigations off of military installations in the United States and is also prohibited from conducting intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations in the U.S., which might be used to determine the origins of who might be flying the drones. Okay. Yeah, there's no intra-agency cooperation to investigate such matters. Famously, nobody ever spies on American soil. None of our agencies actually spy on American soil. Guys, I promise. We just have no authority here. It's outside of our jurisdiction. We don't know. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not. Get the fuck out of here. It's hard for me not to see this as a collective hysteria from a generation of people that have had TikTok ruin their brains. Another person at the same location ID'd this as a high visibility ball on a power line. Oh my God. Everyone is becoming a UFO truther. And what's funnier is like, now the UFOs are no longer going to Ohio. Now they're going somewhere even less likely. The Ohio of the tri-state. Motherfucking New Jersey, man. It's like aliens never go to Shenzhen. They never go to Tokyo. Only Godzilla. Aliens only go to a cornfield in Iowa. And now it seems they're going to the cornfield of the tri-state, New Jersey. Why are they so fascinated? This makes no sense. You might be thinking, Hasan, how can so many people with institutional legitimacy be stupid? Like, there's got to be someone who is smart that has direct evidence or something. And I'm here to dispel that notion. I need you to understand, no, virtually every single person involved in the story can be f***ing stupid. From Josh Gottheimer to every single individual cop to the random Debras and the Barbaras that flip out their phones and start filming these drones or whatever can all be collectively hysterical. If you're here to hear from me a different alternative that will tell you that this is most likely foreign adversaries in action, I don't think so. Not drones, not a drone. Nearly 14 minutes of pilot queries, a good few minutes of ATC recordings with pilots recently. It's not my audio, but the interactions do appear to be pretty genuine. Quite fascinating. Oh, stop. This is 100% a chatter's account. This is Gandalf Ilantifa or whatever, and you are 100% a UFO guy, and you're now saying these are UFOs. Oh my God. There's a reason why I deliberately don't cover the UAP congressional hearings, because as far as conspiracy theories goes, this is the one part of like the conspiracy theories that I can't stand, because chatters reveal their insane opinions very voluntarily, very quickly, and it just like it further erodes the confidence I have in my own community. I know it's your account. I know that's what hurts. So you'll believe AMLO but not chat, okay? No, I often joke about AMLO saying that duendas are real.
Things that I've seen out my bedroom window and things I've seen over the edge of my balcony, we are absolutely seeing drones. We are not seeing small planes. And frankly, it's been insulting to the residents of New Jersey to be told that they're just seeing things or they're all misidentified.
No, dude, it's most likely some random big ass drones that people are operating, okay, on their own. And now that the story's grown, the number of people with drones that are flying their drones to have some fun is also increased. And then there's collective hysteria and panic that play a major role in the story exploding. But like, for the most part, even if it was commercial drones that are flying over military bases and they couldn't intercept them for one reason or another, why the would the American military voluntarily reveal that they can just have like commercial surveillance aircraft flying over its military bases voluntarily? It's if anything, if the government is coming across as shifty or shady in this circumstance, is most likely to fucking hide incompetence and not like some much larger grand plan that's existing. I'm of the mindset that most of these things can be explained away, and that it's not straight up a alien conspiracy or a foreign adversary that's like actively trying to destroy America, or the or a government psyop. And originally I was going to tackle this and choose my favorite conspiracy theory, but given even in this community, like given how many people want it to be a real story, I fear the dangers of leaning into conspiratorial thinking, even if it is simply to have fun.
Do you think federal officials are taking this seriously enough?
It depends on your perspective on that. I mean, we keep being told that these drones are hovering over our critical infrastructure. So that could be either scary or comforting. Scary if
it's so funny because it's like the Defense Department's like, yeah, this happens. It's annoying, but calm down. But then like random people are like, no, it's hovering over my critical infrastructure. It's like, bitch, what are you saying? You're the fucking mayor of Belleville, New Jersey. What critical infrastructure are drones hovering over? In Belleville, fucking New Jersey. Yeah, if the American military is less panicked about this than you are, I think you should shut the fuck up. They're hovering over our Wawas. What insane new crimes against humanity are being committed in Gaza right now that we have to talk about these drones over New Jersey? No, dude. Americans don't give a fuck about what's going on in Gaza, regardless of whether there's a new conspiracy to pay attention to. Trust me, very clearly, as evidenced by the reality that 50 women and children were slaughtered literally last night in yet another refugee camp. Did you even hear a peep about that? No. And that's not because of everyone's attention being shifted away to this drone shit. And it's certainly not because people have found themselves in the throes of revolutionary sentiment after Luigi Mangioni's attack against the healthcare CEO or whatever, and people are trying to quickly shift the attention away. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like that either. I think most people just like care about things for a collective total of 12 hours at this point.
There's a lot of frustration. On Wednesday, 200 mayors were gathered for a security briefing that was unprecedented in the state of New Jersey. We left that meeting knowing next to nothing. What we're asking for is transparency. At this point, I'm not necessarily concerned with who the drones belong to. I can make that assumption. I'm more concerned with why they're out there. That's really the answer. I think having more transparency from the administration, not being told that we're seeing things, not being told there's nothing to see here. I think more transparent.
dude, this country's in the shitter. It's in the dumps. It's over. I'm gonna keep it $1.50. When people in positions of power are also not demonstrating any sort of calmness that is required in moments like this, to be like, hey guys, let's exercise a little bit of critical thinking, and instead immediately flying off the handle and being like, it's an Iranian mothership. Holy dude. Oh, America is so not okay. And I know that there is a bunch of leftists in the chat who also love conspiracies, who are like, Hasan, you're out of your element on this one. You're out of your depth on this one. Just like a bunch of people said that to me during the Chinese weather balloon panic, that it just doesn't seem to me like this is as severe or as significant a problem in the way that people present it. Oh, HasanAbi is dead wrong on this one. Yes, alien dog star. You are correct. I am dead wrong on this one. It's actually an alien mothership. It's not even an Iranian mothership. The FAA has remote ID requirements to fly drones. They broadcast information about the operator, and the info can be accessed by law enforcement. They either know exactly who's flying those drones or they're incompetent. I feel like with the mass availability of drones, I genuinely do feel like half of these are just like not properly registered drones. Like, you could just purchase something off Alibaba and just like let it rip without getting the proper registration. Like, how are you going to find out? Remember, during the Chinese weather balloon the Chinese weather balloon panic, they shot a weather balloon that like a bunch of student groups had put together. Everyone was looking up at the sky going, oh my God, it's another Chinese weather balloon. We're going to die. And in that panic, they shot a balloon of a local student weather club or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna cast aside the idea that like part of this is some testing going on by defense contractors. But I think the overwhelming majority of the hysteria is just people thinking that there's a drone anywhere and everywhere by either scary aliens or even scarier, the Iranians. These are Sharia drones that are flying over the United States of America with whatever purpose they have. I do not know yet. What is it? I saw 5 drones.
There's one right above us.
This is weird.
And then there's one over there. What the heck? And then there's one right there. What the heck? But there's 1, 2, 3, like in this, like right here.
Yeah, I can't tell, but I assume that they're just planes, chat. People have tried to fly their own private drones to get a better look, only to experience weird battery failures.
Where are the batteries at? It's fully charged.
It's 0. It won't let me.
What is going on? Okay, these are fully charged batteries. It's 2 batteries that have died within seconds, and the drone went up and, like a couple feet off the table, and then came right back down. The craziest thing. They will not fly.
Should I go fly my drone right now? No, you won't be able to, see, because the batteries die.
There's no way the batteries are. It's fully charged.
If you don't buy into the conspiracy, your community will be dissatisfied. I don't give a f***. When have I... This is dumbasses who think I'm like audience captured or whatever, because you're a f***ing moron. A dumbass baboon who doesn't f***ing understand that there have been a million different instances where I've openly f***ing firmly planted my feet on the ground and been directly at odds with numerous members of this f***ing community. I'm stubborn to a fault, dumbass. That's why half people become haters, because they literally look to something that they truly believe, and they look to me to agree with them. And when I don't, their brains break, and they can't be like, okay, well, we disagree with this, but it doesn't really matter. Half of the haters that feed into the HasanAbi hater complex come from issues exactly like this one, whether it be my anger and resentment towards cryptocurrencies, my anger and resentment towards NFTs. Many people are like, no, I believe this. And I actually hate that HasanAbi doesn't believe this. So now it's my life's mission to hate him. They don't have the capacity to be like, yeah, maybe we don't agree on this, and maybe I'll just wait this out and see where it goes. Schizo monkey, or is simply the fact that you describe people at odds with you as an inbred right-winger? Well, considering your name is Schizo monkey, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you might be an inbred right-winger. And that's probably why it hurts, because the truth hurts a lot more than just, you know, someone randomly calling you a thing that you're not. Do you think America's dog shit education system makes our populace more susceptible to mass hysteria like this? I think it's just like we're bored, we're relatively comfortable, but also at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty. And yes, a lack of education at our foundation, at our very core, plays a significant role. We are so susceptible to destabilization.
All right, so you're here today. You were just inside. You walked out. Why?
I walked out because it was worthless. It was the biggest amateur hour presentation I've ever seen on anything. Okay, it was ridiculous. There were no answers. Every question that was asked by a member of the state legislature, great questions, no answers, no resolution. They don't know where the drones are coming from. They don't know who's doing it. They don't know.
Also, look around. There's water coming from the air. What's that about? It's like the sky is crying on us. Nobody can explain it. I keep asking for questions. I say, what's this ball of fire in the sky? Why is the sky crying? Nobody can give me a goddamn answer on it. What the hell's going on? Is God crying on us or is God peeing on us? I'm partial to both. Could be any number of different reasons. But what you must remember is that we have to panic. We have to panic a lot because it's very obvious that if I can't understand something, that means it's the worst possible scenario. And God damn it, I can't understand quite a bit.
But they say there's no credible threat. It was annoying to be there. I drove 2 hours to be here today, spent an hour in there. I got to drive 2 hours back. The biggest waste of 5 hours in my entire life.
So why do you think they called this meeting?
No idea. Why would you call a meeting to tell people you don't know anything? I have no idea. And then when the legislators would ask questions, there were no answers.
Like the notion here is that the cop is just like actually a fucking drone technician. And no, he's the most knowledgeable guy to investigate the matter. And not just some fucking high school dropout. Dude, they're cops. It's a cop. He flew over the drone. Let me tell you, okay? Everybody knows you got to trust the cops when they tell you something.
Where'd it go? Who knows? You know, didn't want to follow it because you didn't feel safe. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? I mean, honestly.
Do they have any idea where these drones are originating?
No, they don't. They would. Maybe if they followed that sucker to when it landed.
Okay, I'm beginning to realize that it is a psyop. Are you ready for this? Originally, I was wrong when I said that this wasn't actually a government psyop. The drone story is a government psyop, and here's why. On December 8th, an Italian man by the name of Luigi Mangione committed a heinous act of an assassination of a high-powered CEO of one of the most profitable corporations in the United States of America. This created a lot of panic amongst the owner class and also instilled revolutionary sentiment in the proletariat, working class Americans. But another thing that happened that was completely unacceptable. Americans finally decided that an Italian man could be good. Ever since the days of James Gandolfini, Americans had not felt this comfortable openly stating that they thought an Italian man was attractive. In order to combat this kind of pro-Italian sentiment, the American government immediately went to an area where the highest density of Italians were located, New Jersey. In order to show the rest of the country that Italians are actually dumbasses with minds like a medieval peasant, they started flying drones. 6 feet drones, flying low enough so that these Italians could see the drones and respond to them. This way, they would show everyone in America with eyes to see that Italians were actually stupid and not worthy of praise. That's the real conspiracy. Luigi Mangione became the people's hero, and America would not let an Italian man thrive. So they immediately went back to the drawing board and started disparaging the good nature and the good name of Italians by bringing hell upon the Italians of New Jersey. Very clearly, the goal is to make Italians look like medieval peasants.
I don't know. They should be saying, you know what they should have done today with productive use of our time if they didn't know anything? Come in there and say, hey, legislators, we don't know anything. But if you get us these 10 things, do these 10 things for us, and the governor calls in this kind of action, we can figure it out. Will you help us? And then we would have helped them. But instead it was just excuse after excuse and we know nothing. It was infuriating, and I got up and I walked out.
You've been in the service, right?
Yeah, I was an attack helicopter pilot, Apache helicopter pilot in the Army, and I helped stand up the initial unmanned aircraft training battalion in the aviation sector of the Army. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and these guys are not doing the job they need to do to figure out what's going on, and that is the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the state police.
Bro, this is why there will never be a leftist Joe Rogan, okay? And this is why Joe Rogan is so goddamn popular. Because every American, regardless of their like political acumen, regardless of what position they hold in American society, is Joe Rogan. We have become a nation of Joe Rogans. This guy is literally just another Joe Rogan variant. So is the mayor of fucking Bellevue or whatever. We're all Joe Rogans. This is a nation run by Joe Rogans, comprised entirely of Joe Rogans.
2 Americans.
They're saying no threat, but how the hell do they know? They don't know anything. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it come from. They don't know nothing.
This is literally gang stalking shit, dude. This is... Every American's got a little bit of that gang stalking subredditor energy to them. I swear to God. Oh my Lord, we are so cooked. This spells trouble for American society. This is not good. This is scary. This is dangerous.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that.
Mothership. Like, how far off the American coastline can an Iranian mothership operate? Please take your lithium, dude. You think the American Coast Guard is not actively monitoring random ships that are at least close enough in proximity to the American shoreline that are sending a swarm of drones into the United States of America? This is a conspiracy so far-fetched that even the Pentagon's like, come on, guys. We love a good story about our foreign adversaries dunking on us in an effort to whip up some frenzy. But even this is too far-fetched. It's so insane that the fucking Pentagon is saying, like, come on. Come on. This is the same sentiment behind, like, vaccination campaigns, like mass inoculation campaigns. There are moments where the government, even for nefarious reasons, will do the right thing to protect the overall welfare of the American citizenry. And I repeated this over and over again. The capitalists wanted you to get inoculated so you can get back to work in, 2 days, 3 days, not be permanently damaged, okay, by COVID. That's why they wanted you to get it. And they liked the vaccine so much that they got it ahead of you. And yet, for some reason, so many Americans were like, nah, dog, if the government's telling me I need to get inoculated, I'm not getting that shit. There's probably a really scary reason. It's like, no, dude, it's a very obvious reason. You're cattle. This does not mean it's a bad thing unless you don't mind dying, I guess. That's it. But people are so predisposed to just being like, the government, I don't care what it says, that they just sometimes find themselves lost. When they find themselves being contrarian to the government without like critical examination, you arrive at this weird space where you think that even when the government is trying to do right by you, even if it's for bad purposes, or even if it's for like other additional purposes, like ensuring that, you get back to work in a relatively fast manner, you just automatically assume it's bad. They're up to no good. And then you end up not fucking vaccinating yourself. And here we are at another moment where people are just like, nah, I don't trust them. Colonial violence returning to the metropole. It is. It's like so much destabilization, centuries of just destabilization and violence that we brought about to the rest of the world at the behest of the profit motive that we've dished out on our own unsuspecting citizenry have caused Americans to be dumb as fuck. Congressman Chris Smith wants to give local cops the authority to shoot at planes if they think they might be drones that just look like planes.
Taking more decisive action, which is why DOD must. They are the ones who have the ability and the authority to act. Congress, yes, and the president, yes, need to move quickly to...
Dude, Americans have two speeds, I swear to God. Burger and shooting guns. That's it. There's no other solution to any problem in this goddamn country. Everything is burger, gun, burger, gun. It's either gun or it's burger. Oh my God. The fact that we've been able to dominate the rest of the planet. Oh my God, dude.